Hey guys, to help run the forums, host the website, and travel, we've introduced a universal service fee for in-depth coverage, including this video. My goal is to be unbiased and transparent. It's a privilege to serve you. This is not an endorsement. Let's get into it. Hey guys, we're down in Seal Beach, California. This is a great surf spot just over there. I'm hanging out with Steve Boyd from Tern, General Manager for North America. How's it going?
Good. How you doing, Court?
I'm doing really well. You know, this is a pretty familiar spot because we shot the, was it the Vectron?
The Vectron, yeah.
Years ago.
Vectron S10 video a couple years ago, probably.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Last year, I shot the GSD with, I think, Chris, right?
Yeah, in Brooklyn.
That was in Brooklyn. And we're all hanging out, enjoying the nice weather today, and we're checking out this is the GSD S00, but they also have the S10. Right, and so that one has a 10-speed cassette derailleur setup, and it's 11 to 36 tooth, so pretty standard. Shimano Dior, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, sweet. And then over here we've got the Enviolo, and this is like the high power, high torque cargo edition, so it's able to handle a little bit more torque coming off of this Bosch Performance Line CX motor, and that's great. It's a good setup for a bike like this if you're carrying a bunch of weight. Maybe you've got a second passenger, child seat. We got the front cargo rack. There are a lot of possibilities here, and I believe the bike can carry almost 400 pounds worth of cargo. I think it's like 396 or something.
Exactly.
Officially. Yep. So it's a pretty sweet setup. $49.99 for the Enviolo edition, and one of the benefits is that you can shift at standstill like this, very smooth versus like trigger shifters. Now Bosch does have shift detection with their motor controller, which is pretty nice. It means you're not going to get as much wear on the chain, the sprockets, and that kind of stuff. But being able to shift at standstill, having a derailleur that's tucked in a little bit more, especially with these smaller diameter wheels, you'll notice that this bike, it's kind of like a mid-tail. It's a little bit shorter in terms of length, lower to the ground, so you get really good weight distribution. It feels very stable when you're riding. But one of the trade-offs when you have these smaller wheels like this, these are 20 by 2.4, so they're definitely fatter, but they're still a little bit smaller. You get strength, it brings the weight down, but sometimes the attack angle being a little bit higher, you feel the bumps a little bit more. So that's back to the higher air volume on these things. These are really nice tires. They're from Schwalbe, they're the Supermoto X, and they're using boost hub spacing in the front, 110 millimeter and 148 millimeters in the rear. So that's a little bit longer, and that means these spokes get a sturdier bracing angle. It gives you a lot of extra strength, and that's something that we see on like electric mountain bikes a lot these days. So to see it on kind of a compact cargo bike with the higher volume tires for comfort, for stability, it's just really unique. And these are higher quality tires. You can see the reflective sidewall stripes, and they do have puncture protection built in, so hopefully you wouldn't end up having to fix a flat or something. If you did, however, they have quick release. This is a 15 millimeter through axle on the front. Again, something that you'd see on like a mountain bike, something really heavy duty, sturdy. I think we have a through axle in the rear as well. So having boost hub spacing with the through axle, with the Enviolo, I mean, it's just a lot of really impressive, unique equipment. This bike only comes in one frame size, but it's completely adjustable. You know, this telescoping seat right here, you can see that it goes right here, there's quick release, and here. So it goes really, really tall for someone who wants to get a full leg extension, or really, really short for someone who might be a little bit more petite. You can see there's stickers and things here protecting that nice mango yellow frame color. And then up here, we've got this adjustable Andros stem, so it can pivot forward or back, again, sort of giving you that longer reach or shorter, more upright body position. Ergon locking ergonomic grips. I like these. They just feel really comfortable, and you're not going to get numbness in your hands. And of course, hydraulic disc brakes. Magura MT5s with 180 millimeter rotors, quad piston calipers. Okay, I mean, again, this is all like high-end electric mountain biking stuff. Of course, we've got a sturdy double-legged kickstand right there, so it's going to make it easier to load. But you might have heard earlier, we do have a little bit of kind of pedal lock going on here. I can't really pedal backwards just because of where that kickstand is positioned, right at the middle of the bike, so that you get stability no matter how you're loading it up. And that's probably more important in an application like this anyway. Chris and I were weighing this exact bike here just a minute ago, and from right here, it balanced perfectly, even with all this cargo on it. So they've done a really good job in terms of weight distribution. And that's something I appreciate. Coming back to handling, you can see that the aluminum alloy frame it's just incredibly well reinforced. They've got all these cross members and stuff, so you're not getting frame flex. This is about 89 pounds, but without any of the racks and stuff, it's about 71.5 pounds. So you know, it's definitely on the heavier side, and that's with one battery pack. The Bosch PowerPack 500 now comes stock. It used to have the PowerPack 400, so you have a little bit more juice, more energy capacity, because the Performance Line CX does use a bit more energy. Peak torque output of 75 Newton meters, 250 to 600 watt output. It's an incredible drive system. I've covered it many, many times before. Very reliable. Talked about the shift sensing, which is a little bit more relevant if you get the S10 versus the NVLO. I want to point out that they've got these extra wide plastic fenders with mud flaps. That's going to be something that's important if you're riding around in like maybe an urban environment and it's raining and you're trying to stay dry and clean. You're going to keep the front of your pants and everything, which I have on today, clean. They've also got this nice chain blade plastic chain cover. I really appreciate that. The built-in lights. So this is Herman's. It does swivel, and it even has a physical on-off switch. So I'll get to that in a little bit. We do have a fender on the rear as well, and we have these pass-through like YEP window, and that's so you can put a child seat like we have here, kind of lock it on. And then it comes with the bags now. So before it didn't come with bags, you had to pay a little bit extra for those, but I love it's got some reflective accents as well as on the frame. So it's not just the wheels, it's not just the integrated lights, it's also the bags. And then here is the rear light as well. So that means they run off the main battery pack or 2 battery packs. It's like $900 more if you want to double your capacity and effectively double your range. I like that they're using the PowerPack 500. Some of the new electric bikes have the Power Tube, which it's more hidden, but it does weigh about a pound more depending on how they integrate it, and it's not as cross-compatible. So before, with the Tern GSD, or maybe you had like a Vectron or something, maybe you have a PowerPack 500, PowerPack 400, these batteries are interchangeable. They work between the different bikes. So maybe you have one of these folding bikes and then you get the new GSD and you want to go twice as far, just take the battery from your other bike and pop it on there, and you can do that. Steve, does it come with that interface for a second battery?
It does. So every bike is equipped ready to go with 2 batteries. So you can buy it either in a single or a double, and then of course with that you can add it later.
You can add it later. That's awesome, because...
Or like you said, if you have another bike with a Bosch battery.
Yeah.
Yep.
The cross-compatibility or backwards compatibility is really, really special. And then, of course, some of the other little touches, you'll notice that they've got this little rubber latch, so if you fold the handlebars down, we might show that in a minute, a deflopolator spring, so it keeps that front wheel kind of stabilized and straight. It's not going to flop sideways. Another benefit of the newer ones, the S10 or the S00, is this ABIS frame lock, right? So it's got a bar that goes through the spoke so people can't ride off with your bike. That's something you might use at a cafe. It's also called a cafe lock, but it's key to like, so it matches the batteries. And then because this is a Bosch battery interface, you only have to plug into one port and it would fill both batteries on the bike. I do want to point out that getting these batteries off, it can be a little bit tricky. You know, they're buried a little bit more inside the frame. That's the case with a lot of the cargo bikes I've seen. And the trade-off is how accessible will the batteries be versus how well protected and where is the weight distributed, low and center. It's just where we want it. We're seeing a bunch of racks here and stuff. We got this front cargo rack and it's mounted directly to the steering tube, but we've also got these bosses down here. What are those for? They're on the fork.
That's for a front pannier mount. So there's a touring configuration. This bike will actually hold 6 full-size panniers, so 2 in the front and 4 in the back. So yeah, you can take a nice long tour too.
So, like, I've seen a rack where they kind of put some bikes and almost use it as a bike balancer.
Yeah, so I know one guy he made a little fork mount for the back, and he hauled his mountain bike. And then other people will you can put a kid's bike in the panniers, like put the front wheel in the panniers. And then just roll along. So people do, and then you throw the kids on because they're tired.
What he's talking about, it's actually kind of neat. These panniers, you can kind of pull the flap up, and then you can put the child seat inside the pannier, and so you can actually use it with the child seat. There's a lot of versatility. We put the pannier on the inside just so that it would look nice for the photos and stuff. But, you know, YEP does a really good job. These guys are now owned by Thule, and you can see all the big reflectors and stuff. Tons of safety, extra reflectors. I really appreciate that. Especially if you're riding with your family. Even this seat pad right here has some reflectors. There's a handle built into the saddle. And one of the things I think about a lot is comfort, because my back and neck get a little sensitive. So I mentioned the higher volume tires that are on this bike, higher quality tires. But there's also the opportunity to put on like a suspension seat post. So this post right here, this is actually the seat post. And then this is like a seat post extender. This is about, 280 millimeters high, and this one's 300 millimeters. So it goes very high when you put them both to their max. The point I'm trying to say is 30.9 on that seat post diameter. So you could swap in like a seat post suspension, maybe use a shim or something. And I don't know if you officially recommend that, but it seems like it's possible.
Yeah, there's definitely some folks that have done that. We made that top seat post a standard for just that purpose. So as long as you don't need it to go all the way down for a shorter rider, then you've got plenty of space there to be able to do just that.
That is fantastic. It's just, I mean, again, we're looking at it pretty well. Like, it's kitted out right now. Yes. It's got all kinds of accessories. They look really nice. Apparently, the S00 only comes in this mango color right now, and it's the only one of your models that does. Like, we've got the brighter orange. This is the S10, right?
That's the S10, yep.
It's the S10 over here.
Gloss orange.
Chris, you and I, we were actually at your shop, and you brought this one because we wanted to look at, like, kind of back-to-back. Can you show me some of the accessories that are going on here?
Yeah, 100%. Well, you know, this has the same front carrier that was an add-on as the other S00, and it also has the Clubhouse on it, right? So that's
Is this a Clubhouse?
Yeah, so that's
awesome.
It comes with the pads that you can use this, or you could potentially use it in conjunction with the Yup seat or different pads, depending if you want. This would be better for maybe a little bit larger kids once they grow out of the seat.
Yeah.
And that's the nice thing too, to be versatile and to be able to switch out, and something where families, they can start with this bike and kind of have it for a long time, and that's really important, because sometimes you might feel like you're locked in.
When you're spending a bit of money here, I mean, you know, about $5,000, right? And that's to start. Some of these accessories get kind of expensive. I have listed them all out on the website with some price information, but of course the official Tern website is going to be more up to date over time. My reviews are trying to be like a snapshot, right? And it's such a privilege to get to see these, like, oh yeah, running boards.
So this shows we happen to put both of these on here.
Oh, the
but
pegs.
Generally you use either the pegs or the running boards, but we happen to put both of them on there just to showcase it. But actually on the S00, that is actually a fairly appropriate setup to have the pegs to run with the pad as well. As
I'm gonna jump in over here. So Chris is talking about these pegs, and they're like spring loaded, like whoosh. I love that. And then we've got, oh, here we got, lock it back in. Just gently. Oh, there, because it's like magnetic, kind of like that rubber band up here. They've thought a lot about what this thing is going to do when you are kind of storing it or transporting it. I love that there's a nice thick slap guard right here, because this is a longer chain, right? There's a little bit more bounce potential there, and that's part of why I like the Enviolo, because it's tucking in. This is like a chain tensioner. It's not a derailleur. It's tucked in. It's very durable. Looks like a rust-resistant chain. You know, they're really doing a lot in a limited space here, and it looks pretty clean, and I think that's because a lot of these cables and things are internally routed through the frame, and they've just designed it so thoughtfully. This is like the second generation, right? Like,
well, it's the second model in the family, yeah. So we certainly learned a lot developing the S10, but they're both in the family. So obviously we used a lot of what we learned there to just keep making things a little bit different. We learned how people use it, that sort of thing. Basically, people said, I want more gear range and a little more power for hilly areas when I got my kids on the back. So
is that the overdrive that we're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. So the Enviolo has, this Enviolo is the cargo hub, so it has the super wide range with the overdrive.
Sweet.
So
I've noticed that, and with the smaller wheels, you're kind of getting a mechanical advantage too when you pedal.
Definitely, with the smaller wheels, they accelerate and decelerate faster. So it's in effect, it's as if you're riding a more powerful bike because of the wheel size.
I love that. And back to this other model here. Do you know how much the S10 is? Is it?
So yeah, the S10 starts at $39.99. So that's a single battery and what we would call naked. So it wouldn't have these accessories on it.
Okay, and so it's about $1,000 difference if you want the Enviolo.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and that's it's interesting for people who might have heard of the company New Vinci before. It's this planetary gear, continuously variable transmission. So it's got these orbs inside, and they kind of pivot. So there's no steps. It's just this smooth, very smooth, easy to shift. Don't have to worry about like the triggers and stuff if you're someone who might be sort of new to bikes and you're like, what do I do? You know, which one goes higher and lower? I really like trigger shifters. Those tend to be a little bit lighter. So if you want the lightweight, more affordable version, that's what we're looking at here. And you can see on this side, we actually have like a pulley wheel, and that's going to keep the chain rised a little bit. It's going to like elevate it and maybe give you more clearance. Part of that's because we've got a derailleur that hangs down, maybe a little bit more vulnerable, but in this case, we've got those like running board kind of pipes, and it protects it really well. There's also like a little, you can see there's this plastic like clutch, one-way clutch. It tightens the spring on that. We see that on a lot of electric mountain bikes too. So you heard me talking about all the other boost hub spacing and the big sturdy tires and everything. They've really gone overboard on a lot of this stuff. That means it's gonna last and be really reliable. I also wanna point out that this is soft. It feels really good for like fingers. They're not gonna get cold if you've got someone riding, but then they extended the tubes so if you come next to a wall, the wall won't scrape up your padding or get your fingers. So that was smart. They've done a good job on that. Chris, do you feel like I've missed anything? You know, I'm trying my best to cover it.
Yeah, one of the big details is, and we find this a lot in New York, but also people that are apartment living, you know, and that sort of stuff. A lot of people have trouble, one, storing the bike, or potentially like fitting in an elevator, which is a common thing.
Oh, yeah.
So what they've designed the bike to actually be able to stand up on its back.
Can you show me that? Like what's going? I think I remember this actually. We got these plastic nubs. So imagine you're going into like an elevator, or you've got a closet space. Look at that. That is so cool. And then it's pretty stable, right? Like, yeah, it feels pretty stable.
Yeah.
You'd still want to hold on to it probably.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And then so you release the deflopilator.
I love that.
Or a wheel stabilizer, and then we can, from there, we can release the little safety on the folding stem there.
Okay.
And hold that back.
Huh. And you can imagine, I mean, it'd be even more compact if we didn't have the panniers kind of flopped open and then that rear kind of passenger bar setup. This is sweet, man.
And then this is showing where this this little rubber strap is designed to hold that in place.
And that little like metal pin goes in there, so then it's not going to flop around a whole lot.
So the handlebar's sturdy there, and we find a lot of people really use this functionality, especially in New York, and I think a lot of cities, you know, people need that. You can put it inside of a closet if you wanted to, and it's really like it's the same size as a person in a lot of ways.
Yeah, you're right.
Because otherwise,
depends on who the person is, right? But with the helmet and everything, you're actually pretty similar.
Yeah.
Wow, this is cool. This is a really cool platform, right? Obviously, now that we have a couple of drivetrains to offer, and you've got did the last year's model have the Performance Line CX?
No, so the S10 has Performance and the S00 has the CX.
Oh, so in addition to getting the NVOLO, you also get like the high torque motor.
Exactly, and the 500 watt-hour battery as standard equipment.
Otherwise, it's 400. Okay.
So if you buy this one single, you get 400. If you buy double, you get a 400 and 500. That one comes in 500 and two 500s.
Okay, and in my experience, it's just an estimate, but you do get extremely good range with the Bosch system. Being a mid-drive, but also just very efficient if you shift gears thoughtfully and you empower that motor. Something like 30 to maybe even 160 miles if you had double battery packs and you were on the lowest level of assist. One thing I've noticed though about like the NVOLO or the older New Vinci is that there's kind of a break-in period where it feels a little bit sluggish maybe, and it's taken a minute. Is that your experience, Chris, or?
I do feel like it's gotten a little bit better around that, but that is the case, and so it's sometimes people might be off-put by that a little bit. But I think the trade-offs, what the benefits that the NVOLO hub brings is really great. You know, so having it really low maintenance, not really having to worry about servicing it too much. It's really just over time you'll need to do a chain, but this does come with an e-bike specific chain, so that's going to hold up a lot better. And they've improved the system overall specific to the cargo bike, so made to be able to handle more torque, and it's really very durable.
Steve, I have one more question for you.
Absolutely.
What's going on here? Look at all these bosses in here. What's that all about?
So we built all those in there. So nowadays there's a lot of really nice locks that people want to mount in different places. That keeps it out of this area. We make this step through very low on purpose so it fits all riders. And then you can also put your bottle cage where you want there. We also have the mounts on the back of the rack.
Look at that
too, so you could have plenty of water, and they're on the Clubhouse too. So
that
you
is
can
so cool.
Put a bottle right there where your child can.
This is the Clubhouse, right? Look at that, right? So I'm all about these bottle cage bosses. You get thirsty, you know this.
A lot of bottles on there, yeah.
So many cool options, and because they've done ABIS locking cores, which is a little bit more expensive, and then that frame lock. If you did get one of their folding locks, you could probably get it keyed alike. Does it come with like a key code card or something?
Yeah, you definitely get the key codes. I'm not exactly sure about the Abus folding locks.
Oh, it's Abus. I'm saying it wrong all this time.
Abus, yeah.
Whatever you call it, it's awesome.
Yeah.
This is great. I'm gonna power this up real quick, okay? Because we got to show the display. They're using the compact Bosch Purion. We just tap the power button, which is on top of the display. Boots up pretty quickly. Grayscale monochrome. You can kind of swivel it if you don't over tighten. Not removable, but it's compact. At least plenty of room for that. What is that again? It's the
Valo 2, the integrated headlight, you know, and of course that's powered by the batteries, and it's also super bright. So.
It is super bright. And then this, what do you call the stem?
The Andros stem.
Andros. I always want to say like Albatron or something like that. Andros. So see, that's taken up a lot of the space here. So I think this was a good choice. Just trying to fit a lot into this cockpit. It does a decent job, but one thing I always point out, it's got that little micro USB port. That's for diagnostics and software updates. You can't actually charge off of it. So we've got speed in miles per hour at the top, assist level, it's in off right now. Battery capacity, we got 5 ticks. That represents 20% steps with each one. The headlight is on right now. You can turn it on or off by holding the plus button for just a second. Okay, so I turned it off. I'm going to turn it back on, and now I've got that physical switch, so I can turn the light off, or I can blast it and turn it on. I think that's great. It's nice to be able to do that with the headlight. The backlight's always going to be on when you activate the lights, though, for safety. And then, let's see, we have walk mode here. So as long as you're not in off, if you press walk and then you press the plus button, see, it's trying to walk itself forward. That could be really useful if you've got some like excited children, or maybe a whole bunch of groceries or something, and you just don't feel comfortable walking. Maybe it's really crowded. Pardon me, you don't feel comfortable riding, right? Because you might be on the bike. Walk mode can be a good fallback, or if you get a flat tire. And then if let's see, it's in miles per hour right now, but if I hold the minus and I tap power, we can switch to kilometers per hour for those of you who like metric. And then if I hold minus, we can get some different readouts. So you hold it and it goes to trip, and then it goes to odometer, total, and range. Range is really cool because depending on what level of assist you choose, it dynamically updates based on the last mile of riding. So 18 miles in turbo, and in eco, all the way up to 37 miles. And we aren't even in the full battery. So that's pretty cool. I feel like that's a great overview. Maybe we should just hop on and take these for a ride. Does that sound good?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
All right.
Sweet. Oh, and you know what? Chris is taking this charger with us. That's important too. Bosch does a good job. That's a 4-amp charger, a little bit faster than normal, 1.7 pounds, easy to toss in one of the panniers. And I think it was in this bike over here when we first took off. So you could just toss that back in there. And I'm gonna shove off with this bike. We could head back that way, guys.
Sure.
Sweet. So here we go. Just sort of push it forward. Maybe brace it with your foot. There we go. Let's see, I'm gonna take it up to turbo like I usually do and make a little U-turn here. Beautiful. Feeling pretty stable with those big tires. Can start to shift gears just by twisting this, bringing it back a little bit, slowing my cadence. It's windy right here, but see how stable that is? That's pretty remarkable for a bike that has like the smaller 20-inch wheel size. We're gonna pass carefully on your left or right. Thank you. Okay guys, down here we have the chain blade, plastic. It's nice if you're wearing pants, keeps them from getting snagged or greasy. And then, Steve, are these 170 millimeter crank arms?
Yes, I believe so.
So it's like a standard bicycle. Even though you've got the smaller wheels, you're still getting that full leg extension. Feels really natural. And these nice, like almost like sandpaper or grip tape if you skateboard. 20-tooth chainring up front, 20-tooth sprocket in the rear. And then if you get the S10, it has that little pulley wheel, but since this one doesn't have a range of sprockets in the rear, it's just got the chain tensioner. I'm gonna pedal along, start, stop, I'm gonna listen for that motor sensor. It's very responsive. I'm gonna have it in the highest level of assist, so it'll be a little bit more pronounced than it might be if you're in a lower level, but that way you can really hear it and get a sense for how quickly it responds. so smooth with that NVOLO, shifts incredibly naturally. And with the CX motor, it's almost peppy, like right, like it's right there ready to go, especially in those lower gear ratios. And then the smooth 180 millimeter hydraulic disc brakes, they just feel great. Plenty of stopping power. And for a bike that weighs, you know, about 90 pounds with all the extra racks and stuff, it's nice to have that big mechanical advantage over those 20-inch wheels. It's just a good setup. Okay guys, I tried to position you so you can actually see part of the NVOLO. It's the N380, so 380 degrees of shifting. So it's sort of like having a small sprocket and a big sprocket. You're just smooth between, it's not stepped. I'm gonna go ahead and shift some gears and stuff and pedal along. And you might be able to see these wires and stuff just activating and deactivating, pulling so that the NVOLO will shift smoothly. Let's do it. There you go. Chris is on the S10 there. And there we go. Wanted to get a shot of this. Looking pretty good, buddy. I love that, the Clubhouse. And he's switching gears there just to give us some idea. That shift detection is really nice. There are other cargo bikes. In fact, Tern has one bike. It's a folding model and it uses like a Bafang mid-drive, and it's not quite as sophisticated. The Bosch motor is measuring your rear wheel speed, pedal cadence, and pedal torque over 1,000 times per second so that it can be sensitive in how it shifts and just really responsive. I'm gonna try to demonstrate that here. It's right there when you want it, which can be very important if you've got a big load and you're trying to carry it up a hill or something like that. You don't want to have to strain your knees. This bike feels very natural to pedal and just very comfortable. The position doesn't feel very squished, and they've designed it so that, again, taller riders can approach and ride. Chris, can I trade you?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sweet. Just get some footage of this nice mango color. Thank you. Here we go. Got the S10. Does it come with this bell or did you add this?
Yeah, it comes with the bell.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
What's the deal? Does the other one come with the bell or no?
You got it, baby.
It does? Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Thanks, Steve. Go for it, dude.
Yeah, feel that CX. Pretty punchy, especially with the smaller wheel.
Yeah, I'm feeling now. Yeah, it's like that one is a little bit zippier. The standard performance line motor gets 63 Newton meters of torque, which is still great, but
yeah, and I think it's also the programming with the mountain. It's the power onset's a little bit quicker with the CX.
A little punchier. Yeah. It is kind of like their mountain bike e-bike motor, so that makes sense. Very cool. Well, you guys, we're just having a lot of fun at the beach today, doing my best to go in depth. It's such a privilege to get to work with the people from Tern, General Manager of North America. Thank you so much for your feedback and just helping to prepare, you know, when we were studying the bikes earlier.
Sure.
It's always a pleasure, Steve. For the full written review, all the specs and everything, I'll see you guys back at the website. Please chime in. Maybe you got the 2018 version of like the GSD, or you've had other Tern bikes and you want to chime in a little bit. I always appreciate that, trying to be objective and independent here, but you know, it's tons of fun to get your feedback, guys. Have fun out there, ride safe, and we'll see you next time.
All right, thanks a lot.